being an all-75 player caliber himself. This is Speak. It's good to be here. It's good to be here.
Well, we're good to have you. We've been working. Yeah, we've been working.
Don't get comfortable, Shady. That's Super Bowl champ LeSean Shady McCoy, James Jones, Super Bowl champ, and to his right, the brilliant Joy Taylor family. We are going to have a blast. Let's start with the big name moves in free agency. There's been a lot of sizzle, but my question for y'all at home is there as much substance as there is with the sizzle? We know when they bringing out the fajitas and you hear the noise, but then they open it up and you see 2 shrimp and 1 piece of chicken. The substance don't always match. So 2-5, let's start with Klay Thompson. Sizzle or substance? What do you think that move means for Dallas? More sizzle or substance?
Substance.
Ooh.
Went substance. Listen, when I thought about this whole move they made from Klay Thompson leaving the Warriors and going to the Mavs, right, going to Dallas, I was like, okay, let me think about this for a second. First of all, the money matters. They keep saying, why he leave all that money in L.A.? Well, L.A. is a lot of taxes. You going to Dallas, Texas? You know what that is.
Sir, no
ching, ching, that's one on the check. Number 2 is, I'm thinking about the team. When you're playing with a guy like Luka, ball-dominant player, can create, sees everything, right, score at a high level. A lot of teams game plan for him. And then you look at Kyrie Irving, same thing. Yeah. So he's going to get so many wide-open shots. I just started thinking about, like, can I relate this to anything else? And I thought about it. Yes. When he played with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, do you know how many open shots he got? Do you know how many times, the 3rd, 4th guy's guarding me now? Whoa, the game plan's for them too, not for me. So he can easily get these buckets. I think the Mavericks need a guy that's going to average about 15 to 17 points a game. He's that guy. He's an efficient shooter. I think now all the pressure's away from all the injuries, all the talk with the Warriors being so good for so long, right? And then having a point where they're not as good. Well, now with the Mavericks, hey, man, in my opinion, they a top team in the West. I think they got the guy they needed. So I love the move.
Substance, substance, substance. Joy Taylor, sizzle or substance with the Klay Thompson move?
I think it's substance. I think it's a good move for the Mavs. I agree with everything Shady just said. He's not going to have to be the number 1 guy. He's not going to have to be the number 2 guy. Some nights he might not even have to be the number 3 guy. He's providing shooting, which is what they needed.
That's right.
He's a veteran. He knows how to win. He's been a part of a dynasty. No, he's not the same player that he was years ago. No, he's not going to provide the same thing defensively that he did years ago. But he's a catch-and-shoot, knockdown shooter. That he still is.
True.
So if you have this option, you're not getting the best defender. He's a very intelligent player. They were just in the finals. Now, look, it was wildly disappointing, but they were just in the finals. This is a contender that he is going to, a team that now knows how to get to the finals, and he certainly knows how to get to the finals. I think this is an incredibly substantive move. I really like it for them, and I love the position that he's going to be in, and he's going to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Now, look, does a chip make up for years in the NBA? No, it doesn't, but it is something. So I love this move, and I think it is substance.
James, where you at on it? Sizzle?
Substance. Nah, it ain't no sizzle, it's substance. And when you watch the finals, them dudes was missing wide open shots. It wasn't like contested shots or they trying to fade away 3-pointers. Like, I just want y'all to watch this. They were missing wide open shots. So you can double team Luka and Kyrie Irving and force. Look at this. Klay Thompson is going to make these shots. And it is going to be hard for teams to say, okay, when Kyrie Irving has the ball, we're going to send help. When Luka has the ball, we're going to send help. You cannot do that no more, especially on the offensive side of the ball, because Klay Thompson can shoot the ball so well. Klay Thompson is going to be able to shoot the ball at 50. He might not be able to play no defense, but if he's wide open, he's going to be able to shoot the basketball. That's what he does. So when you talk about just the perfect fit for the Dallas Mavericks of what they needed to make their team better on the offensive side of the ball, to help Luka out, to help Kyrie Irving out, Klay Thompson was the answer. And Klay's bank account is already fat with a lot of money in it. So when I'm talking about what situation do I want to go to, do I want to go to a Lakers, to I don't know how it's going to look with this new coach, with Bronny, with LeBron, I don't know what's going on, to a team that just came off the finals, and I'm looking at it. If they had me to make some of them wide open shots, we possibly make this thing a series, if not win it. I love this move. This is a big-time move for the Dallas Mavericks and Luka and Kyrie.
Well said. I agree with all of y'all. I think this one's substance. Klay Thompson, for what he does, the Mavericks needed a Tim Hardaway that they believe in. Like, Tim Hardaway Jr. was supposed to be the younger version of Klay Thompson, but the Mavs didn't believe in Hardaway Jr., and Hardaway Jr. didn't believe in himself. But Klay Thompson's a guy who 41% from the three-point line. I think it's a substantive move. Let's go with the player that has had the most individually dominant career. Chris Paul goes to San Antonio, not just Shady, Goes to San Antonio. He joins Wemby. He joins Popovich, one of the greatest, if not the greatest coach of the generation currently actively coaching.
Yeah.
More sizzle or substance?
Bring my lobster out. Bring it out. Look, I love Chris Paul. I've been a fan of Chris Paul for years. That's what it is, though, for years. I think right now, just watching what my Warriors, it just didn't fit, right? He's still a good general, still that floor general you need on every team, that point guard, but super IQ. But, I mean, right, he doesn't have it. Doesn't play the same defense, not as quick, not as explosive. Doesn't get to the rim as easy as he used to. He can't create his own shot like he used to. I do think that him and Wemby would be a great matchup, but I also know how much he can give you at this point in his career.
Am I crazy to say that it's substance only because he can do more for Wemby mindset-wise than he can on the court? I remember, Shady, I only played in the league for 4 years, but my last year was one of D'Amico Ryan's last years. D'Amico wasn't the same 4'6" running linebacker that he was when he was drafted to the Houston Texans, defensive rookie of the year. Not at all. But he was, as it pertains to acumen, as it pertains to leadership, he taught me more about the game of football than really any coach I probably had time spent with. So what I'm thinking it's substantive is, if Chris Paul Joy can teach Wemby about the game. Chris Paul played with SGA. Chris Paul's played with greats after greats after greats, as he's been a great himself and helped other people elevate their game. I don't know if this will be sizzle on the court. I don't know if you'll see a lot of flash, a lot of dash. I don't know if it'll be substance on the court, rather. But I do think when you think about the long-term legacy of Wemby's career, I think what Chris Paul can do in the next 12, potentially 24 months, that's why I'm going with substance. Where you stand on it? Yeah,
I think it's substance, not because it makes them contenders. We know what Chris Paul is at this point in his career. But I think pairing him with Wembanyama, elevating him mentally, teaching him the game, helping him maneuver through the NBA. Yes, he's been in the league now. He's had a rookie season, but he's still a very, very young player. Chris Paul is not the same player that he was. Okay, we know that. He's not the same player. Nor should he be. Like he's not a young player. He's been in the league for a very long time.
He's a great player.
Like for him to be the same player that he was would be actually remarkable. But he does bring a lot of experience. And he is somebody that I think paired with a young player who is still developing will be very beneficial. Does it make them into contenders? No, not at all. But I do think that this is a substantive move.
Can I, real quick, was it substance for the Warriors this year with Chris Paul? I'm just trying to figure this out.
No, not at all. But to me, they didn't need the leadership. They didn't need the maturation.
No. The second group did, right? We got rid of Poole because the second team, he just gets like one mixtape, gets wow. With Chris Paul, we think, okay, smart guy like Kuminga, he's going to get a lot from him, Looney, all these guys, because he's so smart and so experienced, like you guys are talking about. Did y'all see that? Because I'm just trying to...
But I don't think on the court. I don't think on the court there's a game.
No, but I'm saying, I haven't seen a lot of the younger players, like, develop because he was there. So when you guys say that about teaching, it's
think about, like, the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns, they had Devin Booker. The Phoenix Suns, they had Campaign, they had Jay Crowder, they had Ayton.
Yeah, but that's kind of years ago.
And then Chris Paul shows up.
At that, Chris Paul was still kind of nice. For real, he was kind of nice. When he got hurt, things changed a little bit. I'm saying, right, and I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I just want to learn because you guys are OGs to me, especially your Joy and then you super experienced. I just want to know, right? So I'm cool. You know what I mean? I'll write it down, too. Yeah. Today, right? Today, when he stepped into San Antonio, would it be a big change? Because with the Warriors, we didn't see it.
On the court, no.
I don't think it'll be a big change on the court.
Yeah. On the court, no. I think the deposits that he will... You know how... I was talking to Fred Warner, and Fred Warner said this publicly. All-pro linebacker, obviously, we know. Fred Warner was talking about the linebacker that the Texans just acquired. Colvin, help me with his name. And he was saying that the linebacker that the Texans just acquired that played with the 49ers, that played with Fred, he was like, what he did... Oh, it wasn't Aziz. It was Quan Alexander. Remember, Fred Warner, before the Cowboys game, was carrying the football with them all day, and then when he played the Cowboys, forced a fumble, got a pick, did all these things. I think we asked him on the show, like, yo, why in the world did you have a football the whole time? Yeah. And he was like, Quan Alexander, my OG, he said he showed me when he was in the Niners for like 2 years, he did that one game and it worked. What I'm thinking is the deposits that Chris Paul will make with Wembanyama, you might not see them now, but you'll see them down the line. And one day Wembanyama will be saying, man, that year, that however long I spent with Chris Paul, it paid.
And that's substance.
To me, that's the substance.
James. Shady a fool. It's Sizzle to me, and me too. The Spurs let us know that, right? Klay just signed a 3-year deal. PG signed a 4-year deal. This is a 1-year deal, right? A little sizzle to come in here to help our big. Teach our big how to run these pick and rolls the right way. Teach our big in between them ears how to play this basketball game at a high level. We know he's going to be a superstar. Now you bring in one of the greatest point guards of all time, right? We've seen him with DeAndre Jordan. We've seen him with a bunch of bigs that don't have the skill of Wemby that turned into almost all-star players. When you talk about Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and all that, it was Lob City. So, yes, Chris Paul is older. But when you talk about the IQ of the basketball game with Chris Paul, the IQ of the basketball game with Coach Pop, I think this was a move, not for you, Chris, not for me, but for Wemby. And that's why I think it's Sizzle, because it's only for 1 year. Now, if this was a 3-year deal, we might be talking something different. This is a 1-year deal for Chris Paul to come in here and help this young player develop and get him on the right track.
I think that's what me and Acho are saying. It's the same thing.
No, because we don't eat at 5-star restaurants every day. We only hear that sizzle every now. You know what I'm saying? Some people might do that, but you know what I mean? I'm not trying to hear that sizzle every day. I only want to hear that sizzle one time, and that's what Pop is saying. You got 1 year.
Let's move to the player who's supposed to make the biggest impact and is actually going to the team which is supposed to have the most promise. That's Paul George, the 76ers. Shady, it's nearest to your heart. You're the Eagles' all-time rushing leader, sharing a city with the Sixers. Chris Paul, more Paul George, more sizzle, more substance.
Substance, right? I love it for the city, baby, because we going to be there supporting him. I think for Paul George, it's a great matchup for the Philadelphia Sixers just because of, like, you're playing with the MVP, right? I think if you look at his career, he's always, at some point, had to be the guy or had to be next to the guy. Well, now, I would put him as the third wheel, right? I don't let the money change me. I think that from the way he plays, he could gel with any system. He could be a jump shooter if you want him to be. He could be a ball-dominant player if you need him to be, right? He can create and score whenever he needs to. I think we need that, where you let Maxey and B run the show, right? Have PG doing a lot more with the second team, get more minutes, more shots up. And then when we close the game out, you have all three of them. And whoever's hot, you go with him. So I love this move. I think for Paul George, like, it's been a lot of pressure on him his whole career, right? Where you come to Philadelphia, it's not as much pressure. You got two dogs out there already doing it. Now you come in there and just under the radar and do your thing. So I think it's substance.
Man, I think
we have to wait like this a whole bunch of years to find out how good it works. It's gonna work this year. And we're gonna take down Boston. I'm saying it right now.
Exactly. And this is why this one's all sizzle. There's no more sizzle than this one. Because let me just tell you some of Shady's quotes. This is why this gonna work. We gonna take down Boston. We gonna be there supporting. That's sizzle. There's so much hype around Paul George, so much hype, and it's all hype and no hardware. That's my problem with it. It's a bunch of hope. It's a bunch of hope. Like, we're still living off of Paul George's accomplishments in 2013-14 when he took the Heat to Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Family, that was a long time ago. When you think about Paul George and this next generation, both Brandon Miller and Cayenne Anthony, Carmelo Anthony's son, has said, Paul George is my GOAT. Like, that's the sizzle that comes with Paul George. He's my GOAT. Paul George is the best player ever. Kobe Bryant, Paul George, then Carmelo Anthony. And that's Carmelo Anthony's kinfolk. That's the sizzle that comes with PG, family. So for me, I do not see Paul George getting the Sixers over the hump. But when you hear Sixers fans like the man to my right, they think this is it. I also think the Sixers are the first team in NBA history with 3 players on $200 million deals. That's a whole bunch of sizzle. They have to go further than they've ever gone. I don't see them going further than they've ever gone. That's why I think it's sizzle. Clearly, Paul George is a good player. Joy, I think it's more sizzle than substance.
That's what he said? No, he said that?
Oh, yeah. His own son.
That should be punishment.
A lot of these young players.
That should be punishment. Then he had a nerve to put Kobe in there. Like, huh? Forget Kobe. What about your dad? Your dad was like that.
I think it's substance. I do think there is still some pressure. If anything, there's more pressure, considering that he's playing alongside Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid now. But I do think this is substance. I mean, the Sixers are the only team with 3 players who made last year's All-Star game on their current roster. There's a lot of talent here. We know that Joel Embiid has had a lot of injury issues. I think Paul George allows a little bit of built-in rest with Joel Embiid because of the scoring that he provides. Paul George is still a really, really great player. Yes, has he, disappointed based off of some of the praise that he gets, the names that he's mentioned above or around and the accomplishments that he's had in the league? Maybe. But he is a great player. And I do think that this is a substantive move. Now, again, the Sixers have been processing for a very long time. Like, the process has processed, and we'll get into this a little bit later in the show. But I think on paper, this looks really good. If they can actually put together what Paul George can provide to this roster, they will actually have a chance to compete this year at a very, very high level and be in contention to go to the finals. He was one of 5 players to average 22 points per game, 5 rebounds per game and shooting over 40% from 3 this year. LeBron, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving. He's still one of the best players in the league, so I think it's a great addition.
Yeah, this is substance. This move was made to win a championship.
Correct.
The process over. This is the process right here.
The process is process.
Process not over.
No, the process is over. This is the final piece.
Like the process,
No.
Like we did the work. Like,
Yes.
like we did
this
all
is the final piece to the process.
push-ups.
Don't be saying the process is over after you done had, I mean, the process still going on after you done had 3 All-Stars and you trying to still build around and beat.
That's the process. Process how it works. Yo, look, it's up and down. Everything's like this.
Nah.
We up here right now.
No. Shady, if you're a part of a process like that, the team is going to be totally different. It's going to be players everywhere. Everybody is traded, owners, coaches, all that is fired. Listen, this is the process. They got PG in there to compete with the Boston Celtics, to compete with the New York Knicks. You have 3 All-Stars, 3 really good players with the ball in their hands, with the ball not in their hands. There's nothing that these 3 cannot do. They can take you off the dribble. They can shoot, post you up. What they can do any of that. All 3 of them, including the big and Embiid, all of them can shoot the 3. This is the last piece of the process. They have to get this thing done. I'm not saying this year. I'm not saying they got to go out here and win a championship. I'm just saying
Get done this year.
Whoa, it's gotta be.
it's going to be tough.
It's gonna be tough.
He's there for 4 years. All of them got 200 M's. They under contract.
34 years old.
Yeah.
34 years old, big dog.
He ain't never played
So
with a player like Embiid.
I understand that. So are we going to say if they don't win it this year, we ain't going to give them a chance to win it next year?
we gonna be
All of them
upset.
there?
No, we gonna be upset.
You just said that this is the end of the process.
Yes, like PG can't walk out of their contract over and
I have
B
a
can't
question.
leave. Like, this
Why
is it.
do we say it's hard every year? Like, why do we say that?
Because it is hard to win. a
Okay,
championship.
it's hard every year, though.
No
Like, it's
doubt.
hard to win a championship. Like, okay, it's gonna be hard. Yeah, it's
But I'm
yeah,
just saying,
it's
if
gonna
you
be
have the
hard. But like,
play-
it's like an excuse. Like, oh, like it was hard
No,
this
but
year.
if you
Like,
have
when
the players
when
there
the
to
hell
get it
isn't
done.
hard?
But they've had the players.
No,
Not
we haven't.
this, though. That's what I'm
Whoa,
saying.
whoa, whoa. When we had a player, don't look at me. Tell me.
When you had Embiid, when you had Maxey, when you had Harden, James Harden.
See, that's
James
what I'm
Harden,
saying.
An NBA MVP, James Harden.
Was he playing like that all the time?
He wasn't, but you had the players.
No, he's
he
never
didn't play like it, but you had the players.
But players like who? So because you tell me Harden, it's like which Harden? Because the Harden we got in Philly was cool.
You have an MVP on the roster in Embiid. You had an MVP on the roster in Harden. You
Oh,
had a
no,
budding
stop.
Why am I
He was
stopping?
not an MVP there. He was
He
not.
didn't play like it, no.
So
But
how he said a player?
My process is, Paul George is 34 years old. We don't know what Paul George is going to play like, but you telling me that Paul George can go.
He can play, bro.
Just see what
He can
Paul
play.
George
He
played
can
like.
play. He can play.
Paul George ain't just going to fall off.
I named your numbers.
He can play.
I don't think that Paul George can't play, but what I'm saying is the Sixers have had talent before. Embiid has played with
not as
Jimmy
good- not as good as this right here.
Not as
Embiid has
good as
played with
this.
James.
I agree.
I agree with that. But they've had talent before. And it's not like they've gotten
That Butler
close.
team was good.
That's what, like,
That's when Ben Simmons wanted to
they've
play
had
basketball.
talent, big dog. The Sixers haven't been bad. They just haven't gotten
But
nobody.
Embiid, hold on,
And
I
they've
was
been
just-
injured.
But
Embiid wasn't this
This
Embiid
year-
either.
I watched
year,
Embiid bully the Knicks on one leg, and then he had that
eye thing.
what's that disease? It's not a disease, but it's like my boy had it. And look, it was so crazy because he could eat on half his side of his face. So when he had it, I'm like, oh, he got that. That's hard to deal with. So your eyes are going this way, your tongue, and you still giving workout, bro. Embiid's a different
on one
level.
leg, on one leg.
And
He
right
is.
now, I just feel like right now for Embiid, he's that good right now. It's scary. It's scary, bro.
It is. This is a different Sixers basketball team. Even the James Harden basketball team or,
that was like-
or the Jimmy Butler. This is a different basketball team. If this team stays healthy, they
And
can
the last thing,
Health is a big part of it. The whole team been hurt, Acho.
That's every team. But look, who was the third wheel, though, right? Because other than Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons, and that was a while ago. Because Maxey, he's a ride.
Shady, here's my thing, though. We cannot talk about James Harden, though he did not play well, though, even though he did drop a 40-point game in 2 different
And
seasons.
then he got missed in the next game. Then he got missed in the next 2 games. He got missing.
But what I'm saying is,
Okay.
like, we're talking about James Harden as though James Harden isn't James Harden.
What are you talking about? What are you talking
I don't know
about?
what he's talking about.
James Harden is one of those ones.
Yeah, win.
James Harden is a great all-time player.
Great
Yes, he
all-time
is.
player.
Yes, he is.
You think he like performed like that? Like that
No.
we have the information.
No,
now.
no. But
we don't have to wonder how it was gonna go. Like we watched it.
I don't think he performed as he needed to perform in Philly. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying
So
is
then
we
he
don't
wasn't
know.
that same guy.
That's what I'm saying.
But we don't know who Paul George is going to be in Philly. We don't know who he's going to be.
Right,
Do
right,
you
right,
agree
right,
this is
right.
the best Philadelphia Sixers team?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So then they got to win
So-
this year.
1,000%. They got to win this year.
Okay, so if you saying they're the best, forget Harden, forget Jimmy Butler. This is the best team. So you can't be talking about the process.
paper,
Your team ain't gonna get better than this, than what you have right now.
Everybody want to give him a deal, a max contract. Everybody not trying to get on James Harden a max deal.
You're not wrong.
I know. It's my team. I watch them. Like, I'd have lost so much money betting on Sizzle.
Well, who is wrong between Micah Parsons and his teammate, Malik Hooker? Malik Hooker called out Micah Parsons for doing his podcast.
Who?
And Micah Parsons, he responded, hey, say this to me instead of saying it on a podcast. Whose side are we on? Does Malik have a point? That's next. Don't forget, check us out every day, Fox Sports Channel on Sirius XM.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.